My dad died on a Tuesday. Heart attack, no warning, gone before the ambulance made it 2 blocks. 1 minute he was in the garage arguing with the leaf blower about why it wouldn't start. And 20 minutes later, a paramedic was asking me to step back from the driveway so they could load him in. The week after was a blur of things people hand you when someone dies. Pick a casket, pick flowers, write 200 words to summarize 61 years of somebody's life. Relatives called who hadn't spoken to him in a decade and suddenly wanted a front row seat at the funeral. Someone told a story about his sense of humor that made the room laugh, and I was grateful because otherwise I don't think I could have sat through the whole service. 3 days after we buried him, I sat at his desk going through his phone, closing out accounts, canceling subscriptions, the boring administration of a life ending. That's when I found the folder sitting local on the device, never backed up anywhere. Not photos of me and my mom, a different woman, a different living room, a couch I didn't recognize, tile I'd never stood on. 2 kids growing up across the photos, a boy who looked about 17 in the most recent ones, a girl a couple years younger, both with his exact laugh, his exact ears, in a house 40 minutes from mine that I had never once been to in 31 years. A text thread underneath it all, dentist appointments, miss you, call when you can. The ordinary texture of a whole second marriage. I sat in my car in the funeral home parking lot for 2 hours before I could make myself drive there. I want to say she opened the door already knowing who I was, that there had been some silent agreement between the two families for decades. That's not what happened. She looked at me the way you look at a stranger who rang your doorbell, confused, then suspicious. Then when I said his name, completely undone. She didn't know about us either. We stood in her doorway doing the math out loud, badly, in fragments. He told her he traveled for work, unpredictable, sometimes a week at a time. He told my mother the opposite. 2 different excuses, engineered so precisely that neither woman would ever have a reason to compare notes. He had built 2 entire lives, 20 minutes apart, for 11 years. 2 Christmases. 2 birthdays for each set of kids, staggered on purpose so he'd never have to explain being unavailable on the same day twice. 2 women who each believed completely that they were the only wife, because legally only one of them was, and it wasn't my mother. The worst part isn't the lying, it's that I remember specific nights he worked late, and I remember being proud of him for it, telling a friend once in high school that it was a sacrifice he made so we could have what we had. I believe that completely. He was working late, just not for us. My mother's still alive. She's 62, and 8 days ago she buried a man she believed she knew completely, down to which side of the bed he slept on. She has no idea that 40 minutes away, there's a woman doing the exact same math she'd be forced to do, arriving at the same impossible number of years he spent doing this without either of them suspecting a thing. And that other family has no idea we exist either. A boy about to start looking at colleges, a girl who plays rec soccer, both about to learn the man who taught one to drive and coach the other's team was never really, legally, theirs to keep. I haven't told her. It's been 8 days, and every day the silence gets heavier instead of lighter. I don't know if keeping this is protecting her or just continuing his lie for him. I don't know how much longer I get before those kids post something a mutual friend sees, or my mother finds the same folder going through his emails herself, or I simply can't hold 2 families' worth of grief alone without cracking the same way that woman's face cracked in her doorway. I don't know what I'm asking. I don't think there's advice for this. I just needed to tell someone who isn't standing in either house, someone who doesn't have to carry any of the actual weight of it, because right now I feel like the only person alive who knows both halves of who my father really was, and it is an unbearable thing to be the only witness to. I keep thinking about the leaf blower, the stupid, mundane, last normal thing. Him standing in the garage, annoyed, alive, arguing with a machine about something so small. I would give a great deal to go back to that exact moment, not to change anything that happened after, but just to stand in it one more time, back when I still believed I understood every version of him there was.